I'm actually very curious. I'll just throw a team out there. I'm very curious where the Celtics end up on here. They just won the championship. One of the best net ratings ever.
So
one of the best playoff runs ever. And I'm very curious where they end up on here.
This is why they were one of the teams at the forefront of my mind when I was bantering before we started, because you could make the case, that if you select, maybe I shouldn't assume anything. I would assume that the first two picks from them would be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You could make the case that taking those two would make it the easiest to build a team around them, because they are just obviously, versatile two-way wing players, as opposed to the best two players on other teams, perhaps, where it might not be quite as easy.
Yeah. However, with my first pick, I will take Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Interesting. I got to tell you, I know we didn't do the next segment of my top players list. Jamal Murray is not among. I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Not among my top 20 players. Certainly, I think I have him somewhere in the 20s. He has followed up a poor playoff performance with an extraordinarily poor Olympics so far. He has not been good. He has also not gotten a contract extension with the Denver Nuggets, even though he could have gotten one already this summer. I find that to be interesting at the very least. I don't know. So I mean, look, you're getting the best player in the world. That's pretty good. That's the pick I'm making. Is the best player in the world. The three of the last four MVPs.
Man, the fact that I mean, I could make arguments here for. Let's see here. There's like 5-6 duos you can make arguments for here.
I thought you could have made an argument for one, the first pick, also the 5-6 duos. But if I know you the way I think I do, I think I know where you're going here. I think I know, but who knows?
I don't know that you do, because I don't even know that I do. And I got to tell you, there's a duo that is buzzing around in my head that there's a few duos that are buzzing around in my head, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. A few I can't do that. Okay, we'll be here all day if I take this long on every pick. I'm gonna go with Tatum and Brown.
Okay,
I'm gonna go with Tatum and Brown for the reasons I just talked about. And they just did it. They just won the championship with, you could argue, the best collective 3, 4, 5, 6 combination, although one of those guys was not really there for most of the playoffs. But as good at 3, 4, 5, 6 combination as we've seen. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a very, 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 very long time since I've been watching basketball. But yeah,
I've got 3 duos that I'm staring at that I think
only 3
specifically that I'm staring at that I think all could be the right answer here. I'm going to trust that last year was the year from hell.
This is the other. Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Giannis and Damian Lillard.
All right. So you have 2 MVPs in your first 2 picks.
I do.
Okay. I mean, that's the chalk pick. I think that's the chalk pick. Man.
He is pensively thinking for those listening. Well, pensively thinking is kind of
okay.
That means the same thing. Pensively is to think. So He's thinking hard.
You went chalk, and I'm going just all over the board. God. I hate myself for doing this.
Uh-oh.
Either way I go, I'm going to hate myself for this. No, let me go the way that I'll hate myself slightly less, which is really saying something. I'm going to go Luka and Kyrie.
It's where I thought you'd go.
It's where I almost went last time.
It's where I thought. See, I do know my friend John. Okay.
I mean,
I think, by the way, I think you could have ended up with the two duos that you had regardless, because I wouldn't have taken Tatum and Brown.
And I still don't really particularly like my picks. It's just very strange to me at this point that it's almost as if we exist in a world where like the whole Kyrie thing, I don't know where your personal starting point on when the Kyrie thing started, and maybe you don't think it ended. Maybe you just think it's a matter of time until kooky Kyrie comes out. But it's like as of right now, it's like we live in a world in which like that didn't happen. The way he is discussed and the way he is viewed, and like I think a lot of that is justified given how he played in the postseason, and he was the second best player on a team that went to the finals. I don't really know what else to do there. And then Luka Doncic is Luka Doncic. So yeah,
the Kyrie thing, like you said, winning changes everything, and they just made the finals. They just won.
But he had already won
Western Conference. What?
He had already won.
Right, and then the kooky Kyrie stuff happened. Like
but it's like
not kooky Kyrie when he won.
But I guess my point is that like winning doesn't mean that that other stuff is not around the corner. It could come at it.
You're right, 100%. They missed the playoffs the year before. I'm saying that when you win, the narrative changes about you. Again, you took Jaylen Brown with your first duo.
I know.
And this man was told he couldn't dribble with his left hand.
I know.
This is what a conference finals and a finals MVP will change. First in a draft ahead of Giannis and Luka.
I want to emphasize that this is a draft for this year. This is not a asset draft. This is for 24-25 season draft.
100%.
I cannot emphasize that enough.
100%. I agree.
By the way, if we were doing an asset draft, I think there's an extraordinary argument that Victor Wembanyama and insert player name here, which should be the first pick. Insert
2026 San Antonio Spur here. Like that's my pick. Yeah. I'm taking Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle.
Look at you paying the bills. Wow.
Partially. I also want them both on my team. And
wow.
We now have the 5 players that finished top 5 in MVP. Well, no, 4 of the 5 players that finished top 5 in MVP. I don't think we're that far away from Jalen Brunson belonging in like should be picked right now based off of what he was last season.
I didn't spend a whole lot of time thinking about this before we started. I did think about the Knicks in the context of this exercise, and I think it is a very interesting question as to who the other Knicks should be that gets picked.
I did think about it, and like I did wonder, should I go Brunson and Anunoby, and then maybe I can get Randall and Bridges later, or like Brunson and Bridges. I think the Knicks showed if you have the right 2 guys, you can use your assets to build around them with additive players, and that's what they did. So the 2 anchor beings, to steal a line for our concept from Deadpool and Wolverine, are Randall and Brunson.
Okay. Man. All right. You made the decision very easy for me. I'm going with Embiid and Maxey.
Yeah, there was no chance I was taking a Sixer.
And that I want to emphasize that is, I really could have said it Maxey and Embiid. Because I think if you're going to ask me which of those 2 players do I trust more in the postseason at this point, it would be Maxey. But the other guy won an MVP a year ago and was on his way to another MVP this past season. And I think that has value. And I don't need to talk about Tyrese Maxey because I bloviated about him when we were making our lists, or when I was making my list on the previous episode. And I'll stand by the fact that this will be whatever number of year 4, year 5, year 6, in which I'm like, one of these years Embiid is going to put it all together. Maybe it's this year. I hope it never happens. I now have skin in the game. I will root against this player vociferously for as long as I can. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my pick.
That's well said. Good reasoning. Fuck him.